week is look at each letter of that acronym. And so for today, we're going to explore the H, and the H stands for humility. If there's any characteristic we want to possess in life, it's humility. And it's defined as modesty, meekness, freedom from pride and arrogance. That means the opposite of humility is pride, is arrogance. So when we look at humility, it's all about going low. Pride is always about going high. And when we are humble, we're willing to take the low side. Now, we want to deal with this and address a few misconceptions about humility, because we don't want to get the game twisted and mess things up and just think that it's humility where it isn't. The first misconception is that there's a difference between humility and stupidity. Sometimes people just want you to be stupid, being humble and just letting things slide. But at times when you reach your limit and when people are trying to just disrespect you and do you wrong, and you stand up for yourself, you say something, all of a sudden some people say, oh, that's prideful or whatever. He's arrogant, got an attitude. No, I'm just not being stupid. And you don't have to allow people to just constantly do you wrong. Like I say, humility is not you going after every little thing and being upset about every little thing. But there comes a time when people reach their limit. And if they think that you're a dish rag and a mop and they're just going to keep using you up. But the moment you stand up and say something, oh, you got an attitude, she got an attitude. No, hey, I'm just not being stupid. The next misconception is that there is a difference between meekness and weakness. As I stated, you don't have to be the doormat and just be weak and a pushover and people can just do whatever to you. No, that's a misconception. I'm meek, but I'm not weak. As a matter of fact, it takes more strength to have meekness, than pride anyway. It takes a lot of strength and inner resolve to control your emotions, to discipline yourself and not just lash out and be mad and angry and out of control. Then the other misconception is there's a thin line between confidence and arrogance. Let me say that again. There's a thin line between confidence and arrogance. Oftentimes people can't detect or discern between the two. And often what it is the person has pride. And so they're filtering anybody they see who's confident through their own pride. And they always feel, oh, that's pride, that's pride. No, just knowing your abilities, knowing your value, know what you bring to the table, knowing what you're good at, and expressing that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not pride. Pride is when it's all about me. If it was not for me, y'all wouldn't be here. It was I who changed everything. And I. That's pride. But just knowing that, okay, I'm valuable in this area. This is my strength. I'm able to do it. I'm not fearful. That's confidence. That's not pride. But many people will confuse it with pride, especially if you're younger and you're able to articulate and you know what you're strong at and you know what you're doing. Oftentimes, older people will have a problem with that and feel as though you're prideful, whereas you're not. You know what you're doing, you're skilled, you're focused, and you're able to do it. Big difference, okay? So now we want to give you some ways to possess and demonstrate humility. The first thing is to maintain an open mind and teachable spirit. Never get to a place to where you think you know it all. There's always room to grow, always room to learn. You never know it all. Even though I'm an expert in a variety of arenas and a variety of concepts and areas, I'm always still learning. I'm always teachable. I'm an avid student of life and an avid student of even the things that I'm a part of and I've been doing for years. And that's how you want to keep yourself. You want to maintain that mind frame and that type of spirit, whereas that you're willing to learn something new. Even though you know a lot, there's always room to learn something new, learn and grow. Then you want to be open to genuine correction and criticism. Notice I said genuine correction and criticism. Sometimes when people are jealous of you, they'll always try to correct you and criticize you. And there's a difference between someone correcting you and giving their opinion. If they're correcting you, that means that it's something wrong and it can be proven. They can show you how it's wrong, like a misspelled word, incorrect or inaccurate numbers, wrong name. Those things, that's correction. But sharing their opinion is to say, okay, I don't like the colors, the font. You need to change the font on a flyer or something. That's not correction. That's an opinion. And what happens, when you're humble, you allow people to correct you. Some leaders, they don't like to be corrected. I'll never forget in the religious circles how some pastors and preachers would say, look, I was told that you don't repent and apologize to the saints. Why not? You're human. You make a mistake. You apologize. But, some people don't like to be corrected, especially if they're in authority. But even if we're leaders, we need to be open to being correct. If it's wrong, hey, you want it fixed. You want to operate in excellence. You want it to be correct. You want it to be accurate. So we have to be open to people who are correcting us in a genuine way, and not trying to be harmful and disrespectful, but just trying to make things better and perfect and accurate. Then don't be ashamed to ask for help. People who have a problem with pride and struggle with humility, they don't like to ask anybody for help. There comes a time in our lives, regardless of what we have and who we are, you're going to need help in some area. And if you have the humility, you're not ashamed to. You say, hey, I need some help. I need some help in this area. I need some help, whether it's finances. I need help as far as insight, some coaching, some consulting. I need help as far as a support group. Whatever area you need help in, don't be ashamed to get it. And especially, let me address this while I'm here, mental health, and especially for the African-American culture. Sometimes there's a huge stigma in our culture about mental health that, if you go to counseling or you go to see a psychiatrist, you're crazy, something wrong with you. No, there may be something wrong and you need some help. You need some assistance in that area, and there's nothing wrong with it. Don't you dare be ashamed. But humility will allow you to get the help that you need so that you can fix whatever's wrong and, perfect whatever's lacking. The next thing, apologize whenever you make a mistake. And I kind of just touched on that. Even if you're a leader, even as a parent, you make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with saying, look, I apologize. I'm sorry. I messed up, or I shouldn't have told you that, or I shouldn't have been as harsh as I was, or I shouldn't have had that tone, or I shouldn't have said what I said. There's nothing wrong with apologizing. As a matter of fact, as a leader, when you do apologize, it makes people respect you even more. It's like, okay, wow, they are human, and they do love me, and they do have something up in there. They're just not cold-hearted, but they do have some compassion, and they're warm, and they really, care for us. So always apologize when you make a mistake. And then also forgive those who trespass against you. I know people who have a lot of pride. Oh my goodness. They keep receipts on everything. You can do them something 25 years ago and it's still like it's fresh today. No, you got to release that stuff. You can't carry around things that people have done to you for years. Now, let me say that again. You can if you want to, but it's very unhealthy. It's unhealthy for you. It's unhealthy for those surrounding you. And every time, you think of that person or that situation, is going to serve as a trauma trigger, and it's going to send you right back into that bad space. So you want to find a way in your heart to forgive them, just like we want God to find a way in his heart to forgive us when we sin and mess up. We want to do the same for others. And it's really for our benefit. If we're holding on to something, other people have gone on about their business, they're living their best lives, but yet we're still holding a bag. Release that thing. And having humility will cause you to do that. And the last way to possess and demonstrate humility is, I always say, just be human and be level, realizing you have strengths and weaknesses just like everyone else. So out of that word humility, we got the H-U-M. Think of being human, H-U-M, of course, A-N, but just think of that, be human, be humble, be level. You're not bigger than anybody or higher than anybody. Nobody's lower than you. We're all level, regardless, even if you have a leadership status or you're serving a leadership capacity. That doesn't mean that the people just under you. It's just that position you're in. You're normally the manager and you're overseeing stuff, but that doesn't make you more important, greater, or anything like that. We're all great and we all are valuable. And if we have that mind frame, if we would take on this mind frame, the world will be a totally different place. All right. So now we want to look at the benefits of possessing humility. There are some extravagant and extraordinary benefits for having humility, and we're going to look at several of them. The first benefit is that humility is one of the key components to riches, honor, and life. My goodness, if you want riches, honor, and life, humble yourself. Proverbs 22:4 says, by humility and the fear of the Lord are riches, honor, and life. So when you're humble, you fear God, you're going to get riches, honor, and life at the appropriate time as you remain humble. Okay, and we're going to show you why in a few moments. Proverbs 18:12, before destruction, the heart of man is haughty, and before honor is humility. When you can tell when a person's about to be destroyed and they're going to face demise because they get so proudful, so boastful, just like what happened to Satan with his I am and wanted to replace the most high and be like him. He got kicked straight down to the lowest point, to the earth. So when a person gets haughty, they raise themselves up and they're about to go down. But when a person goes low, they're about to go up and get honor. Okay. So it's so important that we possess humility because that's the prerequisite for honor. All right. Humility causes God to grant you more grace. That's the next benefit of it. James 4:6, but he giveth more grace. Wherefore he said, God resisted the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Look at the comparison. He resists the proud. Why does he resist the proud? Because the proudful people, they resist others. They're critical, they're judgmental, they own everybody about every little thing. So God resists them. But when you are humble, God will give you grace, even with your mistakes and the things that you do. He'll give you a space and he'll allow certain wrongs and certain things that are your shortcomings. He'll give enough grace to cover that. But if you're proudful, no, he's going to be on you just like you're on everybody else. Every little thing that's wrong, he's going to be whacking you and spitting you and condemning you, right? Because he has to resist you because you're full of pride. You're full of yourself. So as we get out of self and humble ourselves, God will give you more grace. He'll give you more space. He'll be more lenient as far as when you make mistakes. He won't just come in and judge you and knock you down and just harm you, but he'll give you more grace. He'll give you time to fix it and a space to fix it instead of just coming in and judging you. All right. The next thing, humility is the prerequisite for exaltation and elevation. Let me say that again. Humility is the prerequisite for exaltation and elevation. If you want to go up in life, go down. James 4:10, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. So if you're in God's sight and you're going low, he's going to lift you up. 1 Peter 5:6, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. So you put yourself under God's hand, under his control, under his submission, and guess what? He's going to take and lift you up. The key words in that scripture, due time. There's going to come a season when it happens. It's not going to happen right away. You're gonna be times where doors are going to be closed and things are not going to go well, and you're going to go really low. But in due time, guess what? God's going to lift you up and put you on a pedestal before the multitudes as long as you humble yourself under his hand. Matthew 23:12, whoso shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that humble himself shall be exalted. That is the principle. You go down and God will take you up. All right. And then the last thing, humility is the key to greatness in God's kingdom or the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18:4, whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So it's all about being humble. And when we're humble in God's eyesight, that is greatness. Okay. If you're talking about you want to be great, if humility is not a part of your chemistry and of your recipe, then you're gonna miss out, especially in the kingdom of God. Now, in the world's kingdom, hey, they love pride. They lift up prideful people. That's who gets the most respect, the nastiest, the meanest, and the proudest. Not on this side, not in God's kingdom. It works the total opposite. If you're humble and you're teachable and you come to God lowly and open, and when you deal with people, you're open. You can listen, you can hear, and you can receive from anybody. Then you're able to become great. And because it's just a prerequisite, it's just how God has designed it. It's all about being low and humble, submitting yourself to him, being able to respect and submit yourself to others. And in due time, as it states, he's going to exalt you. He's going to bring you high. He's going to blow your mind and exceed your expectations. But it requires humility. And as I stated, this is the first episode of the We Need Help series. And the first letter, that H, is humility. God, we need it. God, help us to be humble. And the thing I love about it, if you notice, we have the power to humble ourselves. We don't want God to have to humble us because it can be very harsh. I've seen God have to humble people and it was very painful. But if we do it ourselves, then it won't be as painful. And then, hey, we could be exalted quicker once we humble ourselves. But if we lift up ourselves in pride, then God got to beat us down first. And once we get down, then he could bring us up. But if you take yourself down first, then that will expedite some of that time. He won't have to discipline you as much. He could just bring you higher, higher, higher. The more humility you have, the more exaltation and elevation you can face as well. Truly, thank you for tuning in as well. Tune in the next few weeks to learn what the other letters are in this help. We appreciate you. Get the word out. Spread the word to everybody. Of course, we're on our last few webinars coming up. That information is below. Go ahead and sign up because after this year, hey, it'll be different in the upcoming years. But we appreciate you tuning in. Stay humble. Stay blessed.